Right, just give it one moment. Preparing to live stream. All right, you're good to go.
Alrighty. Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Kansas City Oasis. We are Kansas City's premier alternative to faith-based community. My name is Julie Manning, and I will be your hostess and MC. I am so glad you guys made it out this morning. We've got Kelsey Reed is going to be our musician today, one of our very own from our community. Marge Long will be our community moment speaker, another Kansas City Oasian. And Eric Wells is joining us all the way from Colorado to talk about his work from, I'm going to say it wrong, recovering from religion. I always want to say freedom from religion, recovering from religion. I do want to remind everybody our 5 core values on which Oasis was founded. People are more important than beliefs. Meaning comes through making a difference. Reality is known through reason. Human hands solve human problems. Be accepting and be accepted. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Kelsey to play some music for us. Kelsey, take it away.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Reed, and so I am going to share with you a fun new instrument that I've gotten and have been learning. It is called the Artiphon Instrument One, and it's a MIDI controller. And in layman's terms, it's an electronic guitar setup instrument, and you plug it into an app and strum it like a guitar. And the really cool thing about this for me is that it's got a setting where you can play one finger chords. So I get to cheat. So I'm going to play some cheaty music for you today. And if you ever hear musicians talk about how, yeah, a lot of songs are really just like 3 chords, they're right. I'm going to use these 3 for this first song. It's pretty much the same 3 as the other songs. Slow down, you move too fast. I got to make the morning last. Just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Hello, lamppost, what you knowin'? Come to watch your flowers growin'. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do-do-do, feeling groovy. Da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-ba. Da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. So that was my first song. I've been doing a lot of just the fun kind of folk songs that people like to sing along with, and so here's another one of those. Oh wait. Hey, first I'm going to show you another cool thing that this does. I'm about to capo it. Ta-da! Now I'm in G. Almost heaven, West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, flowing like a breeze. Country roads take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. All my memories gather round her, miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine, teardrop in my eye. The country roads take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads. I hear her voice in the morning hour, she calls to me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down that road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Country roads take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads, country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads, take me home, country roads. I wish you guys could have heard JJ harmonizing with me here. That's the best part
Oh,
about this kind of music.
oh, I am so thrilled. You are just making my day right now. Well, stay tuned because there's going to be much more of Kelsey after our coffee break and then also at the end of our programming. I'm going to have that song stuck in my head delightfully all day. It's like a happy stuck in your head, not a, oh man, it's stuck in my head. I'm going to move on to some announcements really quick. Ron Runke, our very own, wildly famous, has a birthday tomorrow. Yay! Happy birthday, Ron. He and MK are here. Next Saturday, Autumn Weiniger has a birthday as well. So happy birthday to all of our OACians. On a slightly sadder note, Marley Klum's son, Stephen, passed away. So please send them your loving thoughts. They are having a memorial service all the way in Minnesota at the end of August. So if you happen to be in Minnesota at that time or want more information, you can reach out to me or Nikki can get you that information. There's the link for the event. We are going to go straight into our community moment. As I mentioned, Marge Long is going to be with us today. So for those of you who may not be familiar with what is a community moment, this is an opportunity for somebody from our community to share anything like an experience, a story, or a lesson that they've learned from their own lifetime with us. Marge had given some descriptors, 3 words to describe. She said, daring, injury prone, and biker. And if she had a warning label, it would be, do not guarantee my emotional stability at any time, especially in December, March, and August. So Marge, we want to hear more from you about all of that.
Hi. Yeah, the emotionally unstable part, those months. Don't know how many people know that my grandson was murdered. December 13th of 2000 or December 10th of 2013. So yeah, December is not a good month for me. And then their birthday is the youngest is March 21st. So March is not a good month. And the oldest was August 10th. And I get kind of really emotional around those times of years over that. And part of that experience is kind of part of what I want to talk to you about today. Drug addiction and your kids primarily, because that's what I've been through. Although in my ex-husband, even though I didn't know it was a drug addiction at the time. But Terry and I was talking to a couple of friends several weeks ago, and he is going through drug addiction with his kids. They are living couch surfing right now, and he was extremely upset about it. His girlfriend, who doesn't have kids, has never been around somebody that did drugs, didn't really know what to say to him to help him through this. And Terry had mentioned that I dealt with that with my kids and still do. And so I sat down and talked to him, and the stuff I said seemed to help him. And I thought maybe, if there's other people in Oasis that has this issue of just, nothing else, saying you're not alone out there. And, there's places to go to get help, people you can talk to. I thought I would make this about that. My other alternative to this was mystery shopping, which Terry seemed to think this was a better one. So, well, you tell me afterwards. But yeah, my ex-husband was a drug addict. I did not know it at the time I married him. I knew he used to do drugs. I did not know that he was still doing drugs until years later. And for some reason, I do not know why, his reasoning behind that, he decided it was okay to start my 13 and 14-year-old son and daughter doing drugs. So he got them hooked on drugs at a very young age, when their brain was still developing. And, I did not know the signs and symptoms of drug use. So I did not know what he was doing. I did not know the change in behavior with my teenagers was because of the drugs. I kind of hoped that had I knew the symptoms, I would have done things differently. What I did notice was a change in their friends at school, lots of skipped school. In the case of my ex, lots of work being skipped. They would be, on top of the world one minute, and then the next minute ready to knock you down and beat the crap out of you. Just horrible mood swings and fights, because of the drug use. Then came, days where they were in bed with flu, or what I thought was flu back then. Money coming up missing, a lot of that. So, and another thing, which in hindsight, I guess I should have realized, but at the time I did not, was that the sugar intake of the household went up tremendously, and a lot of spoons went missing and lighters. And I have learned since then that some of the drugs make you crave really sweet stuff, so they add sugar to everything for that craving. So, like I said, had I known the symptoms, and I'm not going to list them out because there's like 2.5 pages of symptoms for varying different types of drug use, but Google it and you can find it up. But the major point I want to make is that you as a parent, or if it's a spouse or a friend or another family member, or even if you're the child and the drug user is your parent, you can't fix them. It's taken me an awful lot of years and mental health therapy to realize I cannot fix this issue for my kids. No matter how much I want to, it's not something I can fix. They have to do it themselves. They have to get to the point where something happens that they realize life is more important than the drugs. They'll chase that high until they reach that point. My niece, who was also in drug addiction with my daughter, they hung out. What happened with her was, as I said at the beginning of this, the murder of my grandsons. She came up here to help me out with them. I didn't realize that she was doing drugs at the time. And but that experience, just everything that went down with their murder and what their dad did and the accusations he made with my daughter, made her go home and reevaluate her life. And she decided that she wanted a better life for herself. And so she made the decision to get off drugs. And that was in 2013. She's been drug-free since then. So it takes them deciding to get off before they will actually get off. You can throw a ton of money at them, to get them help. At one point, I counted up the money I spent trying to get both my son and daughter off of drugs, and I had spent, in less than 3 years, I had spent $70,000. And it didn't work because they weren't at the point where they were willing to get off the drugs. So I wanted to make this more about you as the person who is dealing with somebody on drugs. There's help out there for you. There's all kinds of resources that you can get, mental health therapy, support groups for family members of drug addictions. I put some of those in the chat box if you want to click on that. Most of the support groups is has a religious basis, but there are a couple out there that's not, and I put those in the chat too. But as a parent, I felt as a failure because my kids were on drugs. I didn't do whatever it took to not get them started or to get them off. And the other thing I've learned in, like I said, a lot of mental health therapy is that I am not responsible for the choices they made. So I'm not responsible for their drug addiction. I can now be, I'm still upset that they're on drugs, still wish them off, but I don't blame myself for it. I don't know. Being a parent is a lot of complicated feelings and they get tied up in a lot of things. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew it's not your fault that they choose that. Usually, in talking with my niece, usually something happens to them and they turn to drugs to get over that. And she realized what happened to her. She could have dealt with it better, but that's what she did. So, and I think that's pretty much all of my notes. I don't think I read them in the right order because I got a little emotional. But that's all I have. Thank you for listening to me.
Marge, thank you so much for coming and sharing. That's such a vulnerable story, and I had no idea. So I'm so sorry that you've been going through this for the last forever. And
And I haven't really. The other thing is I have not had a relationship with either of my kids for a number of years. Matter of fact, the last time I saw my daughter, she tried to run over me. Because she wanted money and I refused to give her money. Instead, I told her I'd meet her at the store and buy her whatever she needed. And I wouldn't give her the receipt for it so she could return it. And so she tried to run me over.
Well, I think the wisdom that you've passed on to those of us, and I have young kids, so I actually wrote down notes of what you said for, things that you had realized in retrospect that were changes that were because of this drug problem that your teenagers had. So, just though, I mean, that's super helpful to me because I'm like, I don't know. We don't have a close circle of friends who do drugs. Or have shared like you have about struggles that they've had in the past with changes in behaviors of loved ones nearby them. So I think that's very valuable. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
There's if you Google it, there's a couple of videos, and I was going to put the link in it, but I couldn't find the video. But there's a couple of videos out there on how to talk to your kids about drug use. It was rather good. I was kind of thinking of sharing one of them, but they were 20 minutes long.
Yeah. Well, and if you do find it, feel free to always post those to our Facebook private page for those of us who just kind of want to have that extra bit of knowledge about, prevention. And I know I'm not the only family at Oasis that has, young kids. Mine will be in 3rd and 5th grade this year. Probably about the time I need to start talking to them about, hey, you might notice strange things happening with your classmates, and let's talk about those things.
Yeah.
So thank you again for coming and talking to us. And Marge normally is kind of hanging out around after the main programming is finished. So if you have any questions, you can shoot her a message in the chat and just let her know that you're interested in any sort of follow-up, or you can meet with her offline. We are going to go into a little bit of a break. We're going to have a community breakout room, grab a new cup of coffee if you'd like, and we will be back in about 10-15 minutes.
hear it. They've already assigned us.
No, we're in a group.
We still have folks coming in. Just give it a few more seconds.
Alrighty, I think everyone is back. Let me know if we feel differently. No, good. Okay. We are going to go ahead and resume our programming. I hope everybody got a nice break to chat. I got Ron and MK in my chat. Nice one-on-one. I never get to speak to them one-on-one, so that was really special. We are going to go ahead and have Kelsey play us some more music. I can't wait to see what you have in store. And then following Kelsey, we will be hearing more from our featured speaker. So Kelsey, take it away.
All right, so got one more song for you here. This is in the minor minor cheater chords. So some people say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bone. A mind that's weak but a back that's strong. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Well, I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons of number 9 coal, and the straw boss said, now bless my soul, you load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Now if you see me coming, better step aside. A lot of men didn't, a lot of men died. One fist of iron and the other of steel. If the right don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. 16 tons, now what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. To the company store. I think that that song should go out to all the Frito-Lay workers in Topeka who were just striking. I heard that they finally came to an agreement recently, so good for them.
That is, I just can't even right now. Just the way that you put the emotion in your voice, Kelsey, I'm just so pleased. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Kelsey is going to join us for one more song at the end of our program. So stay tuned for more from Kelsey. Right now, we're going to introduce Eric Wells from the Recovering from Religion Foundation. I'm going to let Eric do a little bit of his own intro because he has a long background in kind of coming to this part of his journey. So Eric, when you are ready, please tell us a little bit more about your story and what you have to teach us today.
Hi, Julie. Thank you very much for inviting me here this morning. I'm really excited to kind of talk to you about something that I'm passionate about. Um, this actually isn't my first time being here at Oasis. Long time ago, I was invited to talk about some genealogy stuff that I love to do as well, and that was really neat talk too. So I'm glad to be here again. So I guess for those of you who don't know, I was born and raised in Southern California. My family and I, we moved to Springfield, Missouri, and went up to Oasis quite often in the 15 years that we were there. And just recently, my wife and I moved to Colorado Springs. So I'm coming to Colorado Springs. I was born in the Baptist faith and religion, so it was kind of like all I really knew. But in my early teen years, I started asking some questions and getting some really weird answers back. And I left Christianity after kind of not being satisfied with these answers I was getting back, and also seeing how damaging and hurtful the church was towards minorities and women and LGBTQ community. And it just was not, it didn't seem to jive with what I felt that or the message that was being portrayed of compassion and loving all people around you. So, but the thing that kept me in religion was, or kept me spiritual at least, was this promise of an afterlife. I was afraid of dying and didn't really want to just have it end. And so it kind of kept me religious, and I bounced around from one religion to another. But about 10 years ago, I lost a really beloved pet, and her name was Toby, and she had bone cancer, and she was a big old mastiff, and just was amazing animal and companion. And it took like 3 months for the grief to really hit me. But when it did, for whatever reason, I suddenly realized I would never see her again. Like over the time, and I think I was in my mid 30s or so, but between leaving my religious faith and as an early teen and 35, kind of one spiritual or religious idea after another sort of faded away or was replaced with something a little bit more along the lines of critical thinking. And this afterlife idea, this desire to live on, whether it was reincarnation or heaven or something, whatever, it was really the last thing that was kept its claws in me. And realizing that Toby, I'd never see her again. That was the dog's name. It just hit me, and that was the final. It was like a house of cards. Like you pulled out one card, and the whole thing collapsed, and I was left without a worldview, a foundation, and it was completely unexpected. So about 4 years, I was in a pretty deep depression, still somehow managing to do stuff, but it was both, it was depression because I didn't know where I was any longer, and also some fear and loneliness, even though, my wife was super supportive at the time. I was in a very conservative area, as you guys well know, in Southwest Missouri. I was afraid of losing our livelihood because both my wife and I were self-employed. I was afraid of losing friends and family and just kind of being pushed to the side. And in that time, I really gobbled up a lot of the podcasts and videos and books, everything I could learn about where I was in this new place in my life, like this whole new worldview. I had to rebuild it from scratch. And I got more and more confident and climbed out of that depression. But it really took finding a local community of secular folks. And there's the Springfield Skeptics and the Springfield Freethinkers down in the Springfield area. And really kind of plugging into that community, I found that I wasn't alone anymore, and I could have these open conversations with like-minded folks. And I think that many of you kind of experienced something similar to that too when you found Oasis here. So it wasn't too long after that where a good friend of mine, his name was Alex, and is Alex still, he approached me and said, Eric, why don't you and I kind of start up this recovering from religion chapter here in Springfield? And I'd never heard about it before. And This was about 6 years ago, and he looked into it. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's give this a shot. I got a tiny bit of training, and both Alex and I jumped into it, feet first into the deep end, and went off. What was neat, though, is that I kind of thought I was going out there to help people, but what was really neat is that over time, I was also the one who was getting helped. I had a lot of stuff that would crop up from my old religious background and thinking that I was able to talk about and work through in these support groups. So I started out with the Recovering from Religion organization as a support group leader, and not last year, the summer of 2019, I was asked to step into the support group director position, where I now oversee the whole support group program for Recovering from Religion. And that's just been a blast. I'll kind of talk a little bit at the end, but I feel like I've gotten way more out of volunteering for Recovering from Religion than I ever have put into it. I'm a much better person because of it. So that's that's a little bit about where I come from. But Recovering from Religion was really founded in 2009 by the folks, you know him, Dr. Del Rey. He's local and probably comes to these meetings every now and then. He started it just after publishing The God Virus, his book, The God Virus. He was getting a lot of emails and letters from people just kind of sharing their own stories and thanking him for the book, and kind of talking about the trauma that they still experience even after leaving their old faith, and that they're the struggles that they still go through. And so he had the idea of like putting a meeting up on Meetup. Hey, let's meet at this IHOP. We can kind of talk about what we're going through when it comes to religion. And that very first meeting, 12 people showed up. It was quite a large meeting for not really promoting it very much, and just people stumbling across it. And he just opens it up. He's like, folks, welcome. How has religion harmed you? And I think it was like a 3-hour just meeting. And to me, that kind of shows, when something like that happens, it kind of shows that there is this unmet need. And I think Dr. Rey identified that as well. And Recovering from Religion sort of just blossomed and formed out of that. And over time, we have set up a ton of different programs to address the different areas or the different stages that people go through as they're transitioning out or doubting their religion. We have a mission statement, Recovering from Religion. We seek to provide hope, healing, and support to those struggling with issues of doubt and non-belief. I really like that mission statement. It's succinct, and it kind of is easy to tell when we're stepping outside of that mission statement to me. So we've got a lot of different groups and a lot of different programs, and there's 3 main ones that I kind of want to talk about, and a little bit about a 4th program as well. These 3 main programs, I've come up with a little bit of a metaphor, like a medical metaphor, to kind of compare what each one of the program, like the needs each one of the programs addresses. The first program I kind of want to talk to you about is the support group program. And that's obviously what I'm passionate about and what I got into. And these are where the long-term healing can be fostered. We meet once, maybe twice a month. We have 62 support groups around the world, and that's literally around the world: UK, Canada, Australia, Mexico, and we're looking to grow even more. We have a virtual chapter too, as sort of like a catch-all bucket for folks who don't have a support group nearby, and they can just jump into the virtual chapter and have the same thing. The support group leaders, each one of the groups is, each one of the active groups is ran by a trained Recovering from a Religion volunteer. And they're there to host the meeting and to create a safe space. In fact, we've got a support group leader here, Jude Lane, as you guys probably know. He's hosts the Kansas City support group, and his co-host is Christy Lanternman. I don't think she's here this afternoon or this morning. But this is a peer support group where folks can sit around and be listened to as they kind of express the things that's been on their mind. And it's really interesting to see new people who come into the support group and they're like very hesitant at first and sort of just sitting back and listening. But once they see that it's a safe space, all of this trauma, all of this, these thoughts and their stories, like they finally have a safe space to talk to. And it's such an amazing thing to see, like this dam bursting. I don't know if you guys, I know that for me, I've experienced it too, but maybe you probably have, where there's just a space that you never feel comfortable talking about stuff. But when you finally find this space to feel comfortable, it's just like this relief when it all gets out and the people can understand, or they're not judging you, or trying to fix you, or trying to promote some other worldview to you. It's just a really, really neat experience. Like we're not here to deconvert folks. We're really here to help them and listen to them. So for me, the support group program is sort of like a general practitioner where you go to see your doctor on a regular basis, like a regular checkup. What's going on? This has been bugging me over the last month. I don't quite know how to deal with this. How do you kind of deal with this? So I kind of see the support groups as that. And right now, all the support groups are virtual. We're just, for obviously reasons, we have had to do it virtual because of COVID. But before COVID, they were all in person and they were all geographical based. But now we've been able to take that out of the meeting space and move it to virtual, just like Oasis has here. The second program is called the Helpline program. And this is where folks who are going through their crisis, going through their existential situation, I need to talk to someone now. This is where someone can come to with their doubts or their non-beliefs. This is where someone can come to help locate resources. If I'm an ex-Jehovah's Witness, what resources are out there for me? If I'm a secular parent and my partner is a believer still, how do we kind of raise kids together? We can go to the helpline and ask those questions. The helpline agents are all volunteers as well. The support group leaders are all volunteers. And they are on the backside of this, where they're either picking up the phone because people can call in. We have hotlines all around the world, here in the US and Canada, UK, Australia, and even in South Africa. Folks can call in and talk to a volunteer. Folks can also chat in with a volunteer as well. And I can kind of show you an example of that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, kind of how it works. This is a Recovering from Religion web page. And as you scroll down, you can see that we've got all of these phone numbers that people can call in and talk to. But they can also go down to the bottom here and chat with us online. And there are volunteers behind the Slack program that we use to be there and be ready to answer. And so I'm able to kind of just send a message. Anybody's able to sort of kind of send a message. And once an agent picks that up, able to chat on the other end. And this is totally anonymous for folks. We're not asking for necessarily email addresses unless it's to send certain resources or names or phone numbers and anything like that. And as you can see, I'm talking with Glenn here, and he's just going to be a fantastic resource for me. And that's just kind of how it works back and forth, where I can remain anonymous and share what's going on with me as well. And we have folks from all around the world who, especially in some of those heavily Muslim countries where they have to hide, their lives are basically on the line, but they still have these emotional and mental things that they're dealing with as well. So Glenn is a fantastically trained volunteer, and I'm glad that I'm able to chat with him. So for me, the helpline is like the emergency room. We talked about the general practitioner, and the helpline is emergency room. This is something that I could have used after Toby died, where I was just lost and struggling and confused and alone. if I had known about this, this is a place that I could have definitely gone to. I could have picked up the phone, could have chatted with them, and probably saved myself a lot of heartache and grief. In both the helpline and the support group programs, the volunteers are trained, but they're not trained like a professional mental health counselor would be at all. So it's technically peer support. We're just here. We don't give advice. We're here to listen. We're here to direct people to resources. We don't diagnose folks with mental disorders or anything like that. But, as I'm kind of talking, you can kind of hear that there would be an occasion where we would need more than just what peer support can offer. There's a lot more trauma, a lot more struggle, and probably even mental health issues and medication that may need to be addressed. And that's why we've set up the Secular Therapy Project. And so you'll kind of see that it's at seculartherapy.org. And this is a directory where clients like myself can be connected with therapists who have been vetted to make sure that they have appropriate licensing in their state or the country. They've been vetted to make sure that they have run a secular practice, and also to make sure that they use evidence-based treatments. And so folks who sign up and create an account in the Secular Therapy Project, when they connect with these mental health professionals, they can be ensured that they're not going to be sent home with a Bible verse, or sent home to pray on it harder, or even sent home with a bag of crystals to put on their chakras. This is a fantastic resource for folks, and especially now that people are moving more and more into telehealth and virtual help. Even if I'm in a very rural area and there's nobody within driving distance in the state, there's most likely somebody else in the state who can I can sit across from a monitor with, or talk on the phone with, and get professional help. So the Secular Therapy Project I see as sort of being like a specialist, like an oncologist or a neurologist, where, hey, there's something more going on with me than just what peer support can help with. So with the Secular Therapy Project, we have over 400 therapists, and there's 22,000 clients that are on the inside of the database. And the privacy is all protected too, because mental health professionals struggle with the same stigma that a lot of our like a lot of non-believers struggle with, like, oh, you're an atheist. Well, their clientele will start to drop away, or they'll get shunned by their other professional mental health professionals as well. And so their names are protected just as well as kind of ours are, until the moment we're ready to connect and share with one another. But it's a really fantastic resource, and all three of these programs, if you know anybody, or if you yourself are struggling with something that's kind of within our wheelhouse, don't hesitate to reach out. It's incredibly important, and we're just standing by, kind of waiting for folks to come to us and talk to us. We also have an online community where and this is a protected community where it's not publicly available. Folks can come to the helpline, chat with us, and get vetted to make sure that they're a right fit for the online community. But there was a need where, hey, I'm struggling, but a lot of people don't seem to understand what I'm going through. I'd like to talk with some other people who've been through a similar situation. And there's different chat rooms in Slack, different channels in Slack, like a military channel. I have not been in the military, so I couldn't necessarily relate to someone who is an atheist or a non-believer, or was coming out of, or transitioning out of the religion while in the military. I couldn't understand that. There's a secular parenting channel, and I don't have kids, and so I can't fully relate to them. And so there's a secular parenting channel, ex-Jehovah's Witness, ex-Muslim, ex-Hindu. There's a lot of different channels to connect with some like-minded folks who are going through some similar, very specific situations, even like an LGBTQ channel in there as well. The other program I want to talk about is the resource program. We have a whole team that are dedicated to looking for and vetting resources to include on our resource page. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again to kind of show you what that looks like. Can you see that? Yeah. So the resources here is up on this upper tab here. And there are a ton of different resources for any area of life that you're in. And in fact, if I was an ex-Jehovah's Witness, I would be able to be taken right to a whole ex-Jehovah's Witness set of resources that would hopefully work for me. So there's a whole team that curates that as well. And we're also generating resources and creating resources as we go too. And that's a lot that has to do with the online programming program. And what we're doing is every Monday night we hold what we call an RFRX. It's a session very similar like this, where we bring on a guest who is an expert in this particular topic that we're going to be talking about that evening. And all of these topics that we choose for RFRX are topics that are relevant to what people who come to the helpline or come to the support groups are going through. We've had discussions on the topic of the fear of hell, which is a big thing for people who are coming out of evangelical religions or fundamental religions. They no longer believe, but there's this fear of hell that sticks with them and that causes a lot of trauma. We've had sessions on creating boundaries and autonomy. We've had religion-specific topics about Jehovah's Witnesses or Muslims or Islam. And those were kind of designed in a way to give a little bit of background about what the religion is. And in essence, for folks like me who weren't a part of Islam or the Jehovah's Witnesses, to be more empathetic and more understanding of folks who are coming out of those belief systems. And that's every Monday night at 7 p.m. on Central Time as well. So that's really kind of the overall program that we offer to people who are transitioning out of religion or having their doubts. It's kind of like the overall 30,000 view. But there's one other program or one other aspect that I kind of talked about at the very beginning was the volunteering. I can tell you that I don't feel like I was necessarily ready to become a support group leader because I had a lot of baggage that I hadn't quite dealt with. But just the way that we had set up the support group meetings and having to be there once a month and commit to those folks and create that safe space, I was able to deal with a lot of my stuff and also see myself in a lot of the people who came to these support group meetings because they were struggling with the same thing. So I was able to really become a better person out of those meetings. And even though it was like maybe 2 or 3 hours a month, I got so much more out of it. Became able to relieve so much more of my suffering and my angst and work through that trauma. I see people who come into the support group meetings, brand new folks. They come in scared, alone, battered up, like psychologically just battered up and just feeling like the world is now a super scary place. And I see them walking out or feeling so much better, having a sense of courage now, having a sense of, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I'm not alone. And it's such a gratifying feeling for me knowing that, because when I lost this whole belief system, when I transitioned and had that big crisis, there was no longer a promise of an afterlife. Like I suddenly realized that this is all I have and I have to make the best of it I can make the best of it and it's up to me. So now my purpose in life is to really make this world better than how I found it. And being a support group meeting host or even the support group director has really allowed me to accomplish that and fulfill the purpose in my life. And so I say all of that because there's a need for volunteers, and there's a lot that folks can get out of volunteering. I have gained skills and honed skills that just being a volunteer that I haven't ever thought I would get out of this, like hosting a meeting, getting listening, actively listening, not how to avoid trying to give advice to folks, because that was something that I definitely struggled with. So that's really, I think I've talked my about 20 minutes or so, and it's kind of the overall view of recovering from religion. If you feel like you've got some time to participate and help folks who are coming to us, check out the volunteering button on our website. And if you've got some extra money too and like to kind of give towards the cause, I think that Dr. Ray and our executive director, Gail Jordan, would love to talk to you about accepting donations as well. In fall, we've done this once before in 2019. And for 2020, we obviously had to cancel it for various reasons, but we're resurrecting it in 2021. We have a fall excursion, and this is like a big old summer camp, but it's for adults. I'm really excited. I'm going to be going there. It's coming up this fall in September, like the middle of September, 17th through the 20th or something like that. I don't quite remember, but it's right around those dates. It's all on the website. So that's kind of what I've got. Who has some questions or anything for me, if that's how this goes?
Awesome. Eric, first of all, thank you so much for coming and sharing this info. Of course, we've heard from Recovering from Religion before, and Daryl is a member of our Kansas City community, so we hear about these things often. But it's so good to have these reminders, because I literally, I belong to one of the secular parenting communities on Facebook, and I'm not kidding you, a week ago, somebody posted, hey, I really need help finding a secular therapist. So I logged on just while you were talking and said, oh, I almost forgot, seculartherapyproject.org. So, yeah. That way we as, members of Oasis can reach out and like, hey, how did you hear about this? Oh, well, I belong to this community called Oasis, we can all network together. And then so for our main group or people live on Facebook, Daryl actually is here. Hey, hi, Daryl. He posted the Fall Excursion 2021 into our chat. So if you're curious, you can also find that on the website that Eric was discussing, the recoveringfromreligion.org. And that is September 17th through the 19th in North Carolina. So
I think that this is kind of like a graduation project, and so I'm being graded by Dr. Ray. He'll be no.
Okay, so we all have to go so that Eric gets a good score. I will have to talk to the old hubs and see how we feel about going to North Carolina. That might be really fun.
Yeah, it's going to be around a huge lake. There'll be hiking, campfires. We're going to have some fantastic guests come. Mandisa Thomas from Black Nonbelievers, Candace Gorham will be speaking. Alice Gretzen, I'm totally mangling her last name, but we have some fantastic speakers. Even if you don't want to or aren't interested in any of the programming that's being offered, it's still a beautiful place and a neat place to meet some folks too.
Definitely. We will try to make a gathering, and we could like party bus it out there, guys. Like,
yeah.
Going, Eric, and you can be my accomplice. All right. So does anybody have any questions? I would love if you guys wanted to use your little Zoom button to raise your hand, or if you want to just unmute yourself, you're welcome to do that. Any questions from Eric? For Eric, from you?
I guess I did a fantastic job.
You did a really great job. I'm going to ask a question. If I do, I try to let other people have a turn. I, along with many in our group, not everybody with young kids is here today, but I have kids that are almost 11. That's an important distinction, as you all know, and 8. And, we've made it no secret that we choose not to believe in God. My every member of our family does believe in God. So we've kind of guided those kids towards like, hey, we just believe things that are different. We can still love one another. We can still play and have fun. It's just, we're just different. Just like my favorite color is purple and yours is orange. We can still enjoy the rainbow together, right? Can you give us a little bit of guidance as far as when kids start getting into schools or middle schools, have you guys ever covered any topics that you are aware of with regards to guidance on how to kind of be able to stay firm in your beliefs without being swayed by other people's influences, but also be accepting of other views? And, Oasis, is, be accepting and be accepted, and people more important than beliefs. I worry that my kids will struggle with that.
Yeah. So caveat here, I don't have any kids. And so I can only kind of share with you some of the tips that I've heard secondhand. There's two things. We do have a talk on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/recovering from religion, about keeping kids curious.
Mhm.
And that's by the author Josh Becker. And Josh Becker wrote a fantastic, and is continuing to write a fantastic series of books called Annabelle and Aiden. And it really talks about a lot of these secular issues, like it talks about evolution, it talks about death even. And these are designed for kids between the age of 4 and 10. It talks about all the different types of gods that people believe in as well. So I think for younger kids, these book sets are fantastic for kind of getting them to think a little bit about it, and they're very easy to read. I enjoy reading them, and I'm nowhere near 10 years old. The second thing, which I think is a little more involved than just purchasing books, is to take kids to a ton of different types of churches, in a sense. Go visit the Mormon church for one session, visit the Buddhist temple, visit the Jehovah's Witness temple in the area, and kind of expose them, instead of isolating them, expose them to all the different worldviews around them. I think that when I was a kid, I was told, as a Baptist kid, I was told that Mormons aren't Christians and they're evil. Jehovah's Witnesses aren't Christians and they're evil. Catholics aren't Christians and they're evil. But had I been exposed to all of those different types of viewpoints, I wouldn't have had that built-in prejudice that I had to deal with afterwards. And I think that isolation causes more problems than down the line for kids, as opposed to exposing them to all that's out there. So, agree with it, disagree with it, whatever, but that's my view.
Those are amazing resources. Thank you so much. We have taken the kids specifically for that reason. Their dad and I aren't married anymore, but we get along well and have, some similar beliefs, especially with regards to kids and religion. And so we have brought them to a friend who was from the Indian culture, and they invited us to like a festival. And of course, there's some religious undertones to the festival that we were invited to. But it was just such a blast. And they had all these colors and these weird foods that the kids didn't want to eat. And they had dancing and performers. And it was just like, look at different cultures are so fun. There's no reason to be scared of them. So that is a wonderful reminder. Thank you very much. I will make sure that we put some events on the calendar that we can do those things. And I will check out those books. I did put the link in the chat for anybody who's interested. Thanks for that question being answered. We did have one other question from Amy and Jason. The question was, how often do people who are struggling with the idea of no religion go back to church instead of committing to change? If you have any statistics or stories about that.
Right. So one of the things at RFR we really pride ourselves about and continue, well, I don't know about pride ourselves, but like we strive to do is to accept people's anonymity and protect people's anonymity. The last thing we want to do is accidentally out them. And so one of the ways that we accomplish that is we don't really track people's names, or we don't track their people's email addresses. The only thing we really track in support groups is the number, like how many people attended, how many people were new. And that's all we really see. So there may be people who come in once and never come back because this isn't like the place for them. But I have no doubt that there are people who just come in because they have doubts, and when they get some of the exposure to the other people that are outside of their own worldview, it might get a little scary for them, and they want to go back to what's comfortable and what they know, and that's totally okay. If it's fits for them. So I can't specifically give you numbers. And then the same is true over on the helpline as well. We're not able to see who is continuously returning to us. There's some ways, but it's not 100% accurate. So like this has never been an organization whose mission was to deconvert folks. This is organization to be there for people when they need it. And so there is no doubt, like I said earlier, that people have come in and then returned to their what they know, their old ways. And as all of you guys know, having a community, having a place where people know you and it's comfortable to be in is incredibly important for us as humans. It's just in our DNA. And so if the chance or there's a risk of us losing that causes fear and pain, and we'll want to go back to what we know. A part of what we do in the support group meetings is at the very end, we have a list of places of resources for folks that we kind of read out. And one of those resources is alternative groups, communities that people can attend, alternative secular communities, like, hey, check out Oasis. Hey, check out the Kansas City Atheists or what have you. These are secular groups that are alternate communities to folks who may no longer feel comfortable in that community. So I hope that was I know that was kind of a long answer and maybe a little bit of rambling answer to the question, but yeah. So
always helpful. I actually got a private message, somebody requesting to stay anonymous, and I'm like, hey, we at RFR support those things, right? They expressed some concerns about people who would be classified as maybe like that angry atheist. And what do you do within your RFR community to, I don't know, do you support that? Do you try to gear people away from that? Because for those of you who don't understand that term, angry atheist, and Eric might define it a little bit differently, it's kind of those people who are like, well, I'm right and you're wrong. If you believe, I think you're stupid. I think we've probably all encountered one or more of those people and just kind of like, bro, you're making us all look bad. Stop it. So how, Eric, in your experience or in the training that you received, do you guys handle, those experiences? I remember I was quite angry when I left the belief of just non-denominational Christianity that I grew up with, and had many not kind conversations with my parents, and they were very, very kind to just be patient with me. And we eventually decided to just not talk about it.
Yeah.
But what kind of guidance do you guys give to people who come off with that angry atheist mentality?
So the angry atheist is a completely normal phase that people who are transitioning out of their religions go through. That's something that I went through. Like for me personally, I felt lied to, I felt betrayed, and that made me angry, but there was nobody I could blame. I couldn't blame my parents because it was just what they were taught to do. I couldn't necessarily blame my pastor or congregation because this thing is systematic. And so I was really, really angry for many reasons, including like, I have lost all this time that I was following some false stuff or some crappy worldviews and horrible set of morals and ethics that I was inherited. So I was angry, and it's completely natural. And don't get me wrong, also, there are some things that to be angry about. By taking away women's rights, taking away people of color's rights and LGBTQ's rights, all that stuff is based in that what we see going on in our local, state, and federal governments. It's all backed by religion and pushed by religion. And so it's okay to be angry at that stuff. And these kinds of things, it's not just about religion that come up in the support groups. It's all entangled with these social issues. It's entangled with politics. It's entangled with families and relationships. All of this stuff is connected to religion. So to kind of get to the question, our support group leaders are fantastic, and maybe I can bring on Jude to kind of ask or to follow up and say how he specifically deals with it. But the support groups are safe spaces, and so if it's appropriate to be angry, it's okay to be angry in these groups. Now, if that anger starts to become directed at a specific person in the meeting, or and it becomes inappropriate, then our support group leaders deal with that by pointing it out and redirecting. And if it becomes too much, we have a no harassment, no proselytizing policy, and after a warning, they'll get removed. But it's all very, very out there in the meeting, and our support group leaders are just fantastic at identifying it and working through it. And it's something, yes, this anger is brought to the meetings, but it's not that's not a problem. It's not an issue. It happens, but it's very, very rare. Jude, do you feel comfortable coming on and maybe saying something about it too, since you're a support group leader there?
What particularly are you want me to talk about? Just how I react to people when they?
Yeah, like how do you as a support group leader kind of handle the angry atheists that come in?
I guess maybe I've gotten lucky. Out of the many people I've gotten to lead, that has not necessarily been a concern. We've had upset people sometimes, but it's never been anger, and it's never been pointed at anyone in the meeting. And sometimes with, like you said, with some of that anger, because I can tell sometimes when certain people in the meeting are newer to leaving religion, and if you start getting very critical and start calling God names or something, you can just see it in people's faces that they aren't even reacting to that super well. And but usually there, I think that's a good thing. I think that that person hearing that someone's angry and they have good reason, and this is why it's usually good for them. But I've never had it turn on anyone like that, so I guess I've just gotten lucky.
Yeah, these support group meetings are they sound on the surface like it could be a dangerous place for people to be in, but the leaders are so good, and and they're here to really be helpful and empathetic, and they understand their role so well that the space they make is just super welcoming and safe. And I gotta say, even expressing the anger is a healthy thing at times.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that. I think that's the best answer of, it is appropriate at some times, and we're going to embrace that, making sure it's in a safe way, but, kind of keep it in check. I think that's a very reassuring thing. I did have the opportunity. I went to one of the meetings that was on Zoom, probably back in 2020. One of our other Oasis community members was a part of that. And we had, like you said, we had all sorts of people. We had somebody from Australia, and I think one person from London Zoomed in with us.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And it was just through Meetup. I think they maybe plugged it in the Oasis private group. But it was, hey, here's the link for Meetup, and go through there. So very neat. Go ahead.
One of the important things that we do at the very beginning of the meeting is, as leaders, is yes, we create the boundaries. Like we just say right up front, like if you are proselytizing or you're harassing, you're going to get removed. It's not acceptable. So it's kind of neat that everybody is on the same page with the group, with their expectations, with what is okay and what's not okay here in the meeting. But the next step we do is we do a round of introductions. And then for us as leaders, we kind of can identify what people are struggling with. But for attendees, they're able to see where people are coming from. We have folks who haven't left the faith, and they just have doubts, and they want to either experience what some non-believers are like, because you know how awful those baby-eating atheists are. And we also have people who come from disparate faiths, I'm Baptist, and I've had to deal with my own Mormon like fear issues. I remember we went on a family vacation to Yellowstone, and we had to drive through Utah. And at the border as a kid, I was freaking out like, oh my God, I'm going to get pulled from this motorhome. I'm going to get sucked into their cult, and it's going to be awful. And I've had to deal with that too. Like Mormons some of them are fantastic people. They're just humans. So it's really kind of neat with these introductions at the beginning to get a sense of who all is in the room and why they're there and what they're struggling with. So these intros are something unique, I think, and an important part of the meeting.
Very good. Well, again, thank you so much for coming. I encourage everybody in our group to listen if you ever have those questions or doubts or have that need for some support, or the crisis hotline too. If you have something going on and you just really need an ear, here's a really great safe space to do that. We'll go ahead and wrap up our main speaker component and invite Kelsey back to play another song for us. But you guys have Eric's name, and I'm sure you can reach him via that website if we need to, if you have any one-on-one questions. Jude is a member of our community. I'm sure Jude would be happy to chat with you one-on-one if you have any questions or need links to resources. And we will transfer over to Kelsey for one more song. Thank you so much, Eric.
All right.
You bet. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. I'm here for one last song. I do not have a Venmo up, so because I am not doing this for money, I am doing this for me and for other people. So if you want a tip, you can go ahead and give that to Oasis. And if you want to do something cool for me and you like this, then invite me to your camp out or backyard barbecue or something. And I will come and play for you a little bit. And so I'm going to finish up with what I think is possibly the very epitome of folk music. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking at the highway, I saw below me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps from the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. The sun was shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the dust clouds rolling. As the sun was lifting, a voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me.
Yay! Oh, Kelsey, you make my heart so happy. Thank you so much. All right, so for all of your fire pit needs, Kelsey is available. She is available on our, private page. We're close friends. Call me. I'll give you her number. All right. She did ask us to pass on any donations straight to Oasis. I'm going to put that link here in the chat. We are a 501c3. We need your donations to help support all of our programming, including amazing donated singing by Kelsey Reed. You can go to kcoasis.org/donate. You can also text to give 816-839-7656. And that concludes our program for today. So I want to say extra special thanks to Kelsey and Eric Wells and Marge for their presentations today. You guys have made this just such a wonderful time for me, and then I hope for everybody else too. So I love emceeing for you guys. And I feel like it just fills me up with all of my Oasis-ness. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time.